to the south of France. I am so pleased to have you all with me here today to my live cooking video series, and I hope that you all have a ton of fun today. So I'm sure you read the bio as to why the south of France. I'm working with a new digital media specialist, and she is on the call today. She's hidden away because she's doing other work as well. But I told her a little bit about my story and where I trained, and she's like, we really have to do things with that. We really have to tell everybody about your experiences as a chef. And for me, being at culinary school in France, in Lyon, was really a very pivotal moment in my experience as being a chef, because it taught me two things. That French cooking is about, number one, great ingredients, and number two, knowing great technique. And it doesn't always have to be super complicated. People think that French cooking is so complicated, but actually it's fairly simple, really. So I'm going to begin now with the fish broth, all right? So if you got your box from Saltwater Market, you might have had a variety of fish in there. And I like to make more broth at one time because, then you've got it and you can use it for all kinds of sauces and things, and freezes really well, particularly in mason jars. So this is just the selection of fish that I got. And I've got some red snapper in here and various fish bones. And I've also put the shells in from the shrimp that I'm using to make the bouillabaisse, okay? So that's going to get dumped into my trusty stock pot over here. And then we're going to put in one of the most key things to a French flavor, which is fennel. Isn't this a beautiful one? I mean, that is really a beauty. So depending on how much broth you're making, you'd use about half, or this is a really big head, so I'd probably use about a third. So I'm going to put that in and take off the sticker, of course. Just give it a rough chop. Okay, in it goes. Ta-da! Okay. And then I'm going to put in the celery and the carrots and the onion, which really are, the trifecta of French kind of mirepoix. Let's get the water in and get it to start warming up so long. Okay, what else are we going to put in? Bay leaf, which is really quintessential to so many different cuisines. Bay leaf is actually a great detoxifier. It's actually really good for the health of the blood. And this is dried oregano. You can put in dried or fresh, whichever you prefer. And a couple of peppercorns. And I'm just going to crack them a little bit with the bottom of the jar. Okay. That's it. So that's your broth. It's going to start working. Now, the difference between fish broth and between regular chicken broth or beef broth is that it doesn't cook for hours and hours. I know when you think about broth, you think about something that sits on the stove for 2 days while you age, right? So fish broth cooks pretty quickly. In about 2 hours, you can get fish broth done. And it's going to be absolutely beautiful. In fact, you don't want to cook fish broth too long, and you don't ever want to boil it. We want to bring it to a simple, gentle boil, and just let it do its thing, okay? So there it is. Oh, I forgot the wine. How can I do that? White wine is going to go into the broth. About a third of a bottle. There we go. We're going to talk about wine in just a moment. Okay, so the thing that I was doing earlier is one of the ingredients in today's recipe is the rouille, which you don't have to do, but it's kind of like a flavored fresh mayonnaise sauce. And you char the bell pepper until it looks really like, why would you? Like it's really almost like burnt. And then you put it into a bag. And it starts to sweat, and it starts to peel off later. Don't worry, and if you haven't done this part, you can do it later, or you can leave it off. I mean, very often they serve bouillabaisse without a rouille. It's not something that's absolutely key and essential. All right. There we go. So tell me who's been to the south of France? Not if you've been to the south of France. How many of you? No, Anne hasn't been. Andrea has been. Diana, you've been, right? No, Diana hasn't been to the south of France? Not yet. And Yael? No? Okay. Oh, goodness. You know, I know the French cooking has such a, you know, a high esteem of like amazing cuisine, and a lot of it certainly is. The beauty of the food from the south of France is really, like, as I said, about the simplicity of great ingredients and great techniques. Okay, so when your pepper looks like that, like it's burnt, so pop that in, sparks are flying, and close up the bag. It can be a container as well, but these brown chopping bags just work brilliantly. And just leave that until it cools down, and then the skin is going to pop right off. It's actually quite amazing how that works. All right, put that over there. Okay. So then the next thing that I'm going to work on is the salade du chef, because I'm going to work on the goat cheese rounds so that I can put them in the freezer. Now, there are many, many different variations of a salade du chef. I don't want you to go and Google salade du chef and be, oh my goodness, what happened? It's not the same way as what she did it for us, right? So a lot of the versions are simply a nice big slab of goat cheese, like, or a croûton, which is a goat cheese, which is a round goat cheese, where they've just cut it open and put it onto a slab of baguette and put it under, run it under the broiler. Some versions put honey over the top, but usually it's just, you know, the toasted goat cheese on a bed of beautiful greens that are dressed with like a classic French vinaigrette. And that is simply a salade du chef, all right? I'm going to show you my favorite way to do it, which is to turn them into like little beautiful toasted goat cheese rounds. I'm going to make my crust now. And for my crust, I've got gluten-free flour, and I've got pecans, and then this is some crackers that I had left over that are already ground up. And I'm going to put these together in my food processor. Now, this is what I'm using for this recipe. Honestly, you could use whatever breadcrumbs you have. All right, if you've literally got some leftover bread, you can turn it into, toast it in the oven and put it in the food processor. Use whatever crackers you've got. If you don't want to use gluten-free flour, you can use regular flour. It works however you do it. Whichever crackers you do, this works, seriously. Okay, and we're going to whip an egg. Beautiful. What happened to the, I'm going to use this one now. All right, let me just give my hands a wash. So take the goat cheese and just kind of press it into a round like that. Get them nice and even. You really don't have to do much to it, just sort of tidying it up, okay? This is going to be great. Okay. All right. Then you're going to pop it into the egg mixture and into your breadcrumb mixture. If you've got extra breadcrumb mixture left when you're done, you can use it again if you put it in the freezer. Okay, because I know there's raw egg in there. If you put it in the freezer and you use it fairly quickly. Yeah. Okay, so you could cook them just like this, but what's going to happen is that it's going to be really tricky and they're going to fall apart and it's going to be really tough for you. So you put them in the freezer and you cook them from frozen. They're crispy and gorgeous on the outside and they're all gooey and melty on the outside, and you can put them inside, you know, and it's just absolutely divine. Really, really, really divine. So we are making a clafouti, and a clafouti is really just a very, very classic, very, very simple French dessert. And the classic one is with cherries, but you could do it with apricots. It's absolutely gorgeous with apricots as well. Usually a stone fruit is the best thing to do it with, okay? So it's just so super simple. We're going to put 4 eggs into a bowl.
Deborah, admit. She's in the waiting room.
You can admit her.
I did.
Thank you. Okay. So it's really just like an egg custard that you have seasoned up and floured up a little bit. It's so simple. And, you know, like I said to you, a lot of French dishes are surprisingly simple. I think we kind of make them too complicated. So break up your eggs, and then you could use brandy or vanilla, but I happen to have this beautiful brandy extract that Ellie gifted me. We met at the spice store, so she's my cooking assistant, dear friend. Helps me with all of these things. Pop that in. Let's put in the half and half. Okay. Bit of salt always to balance flavors. And the sugar. This is unbleached white sugar. I always prefer to use my sugars in their most natural, unprocessed form as possible. So I'm just going to whisk it a little bit to dissolve the sugar and to get the egg properly broken up in the custard. And then this is gluten-free flour. Of course, you could make your recipe with gluten if you prefer, but all my recipes on my blog are dedicated to being gluten-free. Okay. Now, you could do it in one big pie pan, but I really like these little individual dishes like this. These are my little Le Creuset dishes, and I thought they matched my French theme today. So they're going to cook up pretty quickly in these dishes. I think I might only need 4 of them. Okay, and now look at these beautiful cherries. Oh yeah, it's cherry season in the Carolinas, and be generous with your cherries, okay? Just pile them in. Oh, this clafouti is going to be absolutely stunning. Really stunning. I've not made this in these dishes before, so I wasn't sure about the amount, but if I do it in a pie pan, it fits one sort of standard pie pan just perfectly. One for me. Really good. Okay, so I've got the oven heated to 400, and I'm going to give those 18 minutes, and then we'll try them. We want them to be wobbling like jelly when we take them out, okay? Okay, so look at that. You got your goat cheese grounds made. You got your clafouti in the oven. And yes, I know that I had some things prepared ahead of time, like my cherries cut. But you can tell that your ingredients are pretty simple. You know, it doesn't have to be a lot of complicated things for each dish, right? So let's go ahead and make the salad dressing. Ta-da! All right. I just need to go fetch a different. So guys, on the call today, I have my dear friend Amber and Cindy. These are the most magnificent ladies, and they are streaming in live from the Southern Olive, which is an amazing place in Indian land in South Carolina, not far away from me. Hi, Cindy. I'm going to unmute you now.
Good. How are you? Can everybody hear me okay? Hi.
Oh gosh, it's so nice to see you.
I'm fascinated by all of this. It's great to see you too.
I met Cindy, and I just was so fascinated by what she told me about what's in regular wine, what I've been drinking, and it's literally poison. I was mortified. Cindy, tell us what is in regular wine that we're buying in the grocery store or the the liquor store?
There's probably over 250 approved by the FDA chemicals, additives, a lot of animal byproducts, things that, can you hear me? Can everybody hear? Yeah. Things that you could never imagine are in wine are actually in there. Our whole company was started because of the testing of one bottle of wine and all the icky stuff they found inside of it.
Yeah. So, I mean, tell everyone some of the ingredients you told me. I mean, there's colors and there's flavorants and but some worse things than that.
Did you say like there's chemicals? There's like mega purple dye. There's all kinds of just. I mean, there's Roundup that you would find. There's a chemical called glyphosate that is sprayed onto the vines just as they're growing as a pesticide.
So why are regular growers putting all those awful things into the wine?
Because the way that mass-produced wine is created is so much quicker than wine as it's really meant to be. So mass-produced growers will pick the vines with a big machine and throw everything they pick in the machine into a giant vat. And then they kind of have to get rid of all the things that were also picked up in that machine in the vat. So those wines are created within probably 72 hours, bottled, and then on your shelf at your local grocery store or Whole Foods or Trader Joe's or
So wine that we're picking up from the grocery store could have been on the vine the week before.
Yes, absolutely. Yep.
Very
quick process. I kind of think of it as creating peanut butter. It's just like a formula they put in. They don't, there's no quality control of grapes. Our grapes are all hand-picked, they're hand-sorted so that you know that you're getting the most flavor, kind of the color and what is supposed to be in that wine is going to be there. When you say?
Yeah, I mean,
this is Amber.
Hey there.
Hi, everyone, this is Amber, and she's the owner of the Southern Olive. I'm about to make your salade du chèvre with a herbes de Provence from the Southern Olive. And I have got a spare bottle that I'm going to give away to one of you random people on this call.
Most wines that you purchase are not vegan. So there's a lot of animal byproducts like eggs and crab shell used for flavoring.
There's fish guts, there's gelatin.
Crab shells.
Yeah.
Bone marrow.
Oh my
It all
goodness,
creates the
awful.
flavor and the texture, but it helps create that quickly instead of actually fermenting in a vessel how wine is supposed to be created. So instead of sitting in, say, a concrete egg for, 3 months, 4 months, and then stainless steel, it's just kind of put together, put a mega purple dye in for a beautiful looking Cabernet, and it gets shipped out and you're drinking it.
And then you wonder why you feel so yucky afterwards, and you're like, oh, I can't drink wine, I can't tolerate wine. But it's not the wine you can't tolerate, it's the chemicals that's in it.
So you see, guys, at Taste of Healing, I'm not only about beautiful food, I'm about, helping you to live your life better. Because I think you know by now that I love wine, I love cheese, and I love chocolate, But I felt like I had to give up my wine until I met Cindy and I tried Scout and Cellar wine. And I can have a glass of wine or 3 if I'm not driving. And the next morning I wake up and I have no side effects. I don't even feel drunk, It's amazing. So Cindy helped me pick out some wines for tonight. And I'd love her to tell you, while I make your salad, I'd love to tell her about this wine and, these wines, where they're from. This is a beautiful French rosé. But don't you love that it's got a zebra on it? Mom, the zebra is for you. And then we've also got a really gorgeous white here. Yeah. Tell everyone a little bit about how Scout and Cellar happened, how it was founded.
So our founder of Scout and Cellar was actually an attorney, and it was always her life's dream to work in the wine industry. So after she had her children, she started to go into school to become a sommelier. And it was during the time that she was studying and having a glass of wine every night that she was experiencing really bad headaches. And they didn't really correlate the headaches with the wine at the time when she was studying, because it was really beautiful quality wine, I guess you could call it. So it was after probably about a year of them trying to figure out what was going on with her health, that she partnered with a holistic physician, and they started going through, you know, what are you eating, what are you drinking, how are you sleeping, and they finally got to the drinking part, which is this, and that's when she had a bottle of wine tested, and the lab, what they found was just mind-blowing. It was over 350 different chemicals, 16 to 18 grams of sugar. Of course, they found glyphosate in there.
The sugar added to regular wine, right?
Yes.
They add sugar to regular wine.
Typically the amount of wine that they add in sugar starts at about 16 grams per bottle. Our wines are completely, we add zero added sugar. So it's the sweetness that you get from the grape, or the actual flavor from the grape. So in our wines, I stay in ketosis when I drink our wine. They have less than 2 grams of sugar per bottle.
And typically a Scout and Cellar wine, how long does it take to ferment a Scout and Cellar wine?
Do you mean like a shipping time?
No, for it to age.
Oh, it depends on the wine, but it's actually aged and fermented how wine is meant to be. So on every single one of our wines, we have a really specific description of the vineyard, of the like the soil that it's grown in, how old the vines are. We partner with a lot of generational farming, small farmers. So farmers who farm organically or biodynamically from seed to cellar. So it could ferment anywhere from, 8 weeks, 4 weeks in one vessel, like stainless steel, and then maybe go into an oak barrel for another 2 or 3 months. And then it's ready to actually be bottled and sent out.
So Cindy, I'm trying this one, this Soleil Ami, and if I'm saying it correctly, it's gorgeous.
It actually means, and I wrote this down so I wouldn't forget because I love this wine. It's a sweeter white, and it's from the Bordeaux region, which I'm sure you know way more than I do about any of that. But it actually means sun, wind, and soul, which I think is amazing. All of our wines have like a meaning behind the label. And it's kind of a tip of the hat to the farmer and the family that creates that wine. Those vines are I think they're over 50 years old that it comes from. So it's a beautiful, beautiful wine.
It is so smooth. Absolutely so smooth.
It has notes too of, it's a fruitier wine. So it has flavors of lemon and apple, pear, green papaya.
I like sweet wine, and I really like this. So tell us about the rosé that you selected. I mean, I just love that there's got a zebra on the bottle.
I know the rosé, it's adorable, isn't it? The La Originale. It's probably one of our most popular rosés. And it is, it's made in the south of France. The vineyard is in the south of France. And it has little notes of watermelon, strawberries, orange zest, and then a little bit of a white flower. That's kind of in there. So it pairs really well with a lot of seafood and cheeses and different things like that. And there's it's a family, another generational family. So it's small farmers that we partner with that actually farm this way. There's not a lot of mass-produced winemakers that farm the way that we need to. These farmers are out there and they're drying flowers to create natural pesticides. They're picking the vines in the early morning. They're sorting the vines and the grapes, and then they're crushing in stainless steel. So it makes a big difference. But this family was the person who takes care of the vines now. His name is Philip, and he learned everything from his grandfather. So it's really kind of a neat story behind every single wine that we have.
Awesome.
And this wine actually has zero residual sugar. So a lot of our wines, you'll find, so it's not even like 1 carb per glass, which is.
So it would be good for people who are on a ketogenic diet.
Absolutely, all of our wines are. Everyone's a little bit different. When we first started, we could freely say we were keto friendly and paleo friendly, but since we've grown so quickly, and we have, we don't want to be making medical claims, but I know that I stay in ketosis when I drink any of our wines. So we list the residual sugar of each one of our wines in the description of our wine, so you can see that. And we have really neat comparisons that I can give anybody of a wine that you might really enjoy, just any winemaker, of the differences in carbs and sugar.
Awesome. Well, Cindy, this is so awesome. And Just so you guys know, next week I'll be announcing an event that I'm doing on the 18th of August, in 2 weeks' time, at the Southern Olive in Indian Land, South Carolina. It's French vinaigrette, and I am so pleased to make it with Amber's olive oil. So I'm going to start while we get her back, and I've just got a simple red wine vinegar. I chose organic because since I heard what's in wine, I'm like, what's in vinegar? I don't know. So, I mean, is vinegar the same, Cindy?
Amber will be out in a minute. I wish I knew so much more about it.
No worries, no worries.
Vinegar. She is just
Okay.
up with the client.
So this is a very, very simple French vinaigrette, and I'm going to put in a nice whack of Dijon mustard. And I like male, but you can use whatever you like, all right? And then I'm going to put in a nice spoonful of raw honey to balance that. And, you know, honey is really a healing food. And if you get honey from your local area, it's got all the healing properties of the honey. And this one is delicious. I got this in the mountains. It is a wild raspberry honey. Wild raspberry meaning that that's what the bee sat on, you know, and that's what gave it this beautiful, rich mahogany flavor. Amber also has some gorgeous cloister honeys over there at the Southern Olive. Okay, so I'm going to pop those 2 ingredients in, and just a tiny pinch of salt. There's my salt pig. Okay, pop that in. All right, so we're going to whisk those ingredients in. Okay, so your classic way of making a vinaigrette is to put your base ingredients in, put your seasonings in, and then you're just going to drizzle in your olive oil in a thin stream to get it all to emulsify. So this is a olive oil that Amber gave me to match the theme, and it is a olive oil infused with herbes de Provence. And herbes de Provence is the classic, it's the classic herb blend from the south of France. It smells grassy. I tasted it neat the other day, and it's absolutely wonderful. It's so fresh and refreshing. Absolutely divine. So yeah, I have a spare bottle to ship to one of you. Okay, let me taste this dressing. Oh yeah, that is amazing. It's time. We're going to make the roux, and then we're going to make the bouillabaisse. Actually, let's make the bouillabaisse and we'll make the roux while the bouillabaisse is cooking. How's that? Okay, so I'm actually just going to use my regular garden olive oil for this. I don't want to use my beautiful one from the south of France. It's too special. But I do use a brand which I believe is real olive oil. Cheers, Ellie.
Cheers.
So, classic, we're going to just sweat down the onions. We're making the actual bouillabaisse soup pot now, okay? So just let the onions kind of sweat down a little bit. The clafoutis are calling me to check on them. You know, the thing is, when I'm giving you time for a smaller serving, even a bigger serving, it depends on your container. If you've got your classic great big ceramic pie dish versus the glass pie dish, there's going to be a difference in the cooking time. So just be aware of that when you're cooking. It also depends on the depth that you did it in. So the onions are starting to look like they're happy right now. The clafoutis is now, I think, completely ready. Let me check mine. Woo, it's ready. And it looks amazing. All right. I'll just hold this so I don't burn myself, and I'll bring it over to you.
Oh, wow.
Look at the clafoutis. Aren't they gorgeous?
Oh, that's so pretty.
Isn't that so stunning? So this was 18 minutes. What I did was I cut the leek off about here and cut off the end part, and then I cut it in half and half again. And I worked at the sink and cut it up and put it straight into water, because leeks love to hold on to the dirt. And there's nothing worse than crunching and having that dirt, right? So you really want to be sure that you've got rid of all the dirt. I actually find it easier to put it in a deep bowl of water and actually scoop it off the top and let the sand go to the bottom. Because if you dump it out, you've got the sand on top again, right? So that's the easiest way to get rid of the sand that you've got inside of a leek. Sambuca. You don't even have to use it. It's going to to give you a licoricey flavor. And if you're going to use it in your dish, you want to use just a tiny amount and not use too much, because it's going to be kind of quite overwhelming. All right. So I'm going to let the leeks sweat a little bit more. I'm going to prepare my orange. Microplane zester. And if you don't have one, you're about to set up a resources pot. Diana, did you use it as well, Diana? You know what you used? I love it.
I didn't know that.
I love it. I love it. Okay, so take the zest off the orange and be careful not to go too deep. You don't want that white part, because the white pith underneath is really bitter and no fun. So you want to just be sure to just take off the top part. You know, before I had a zester, when the recipe said zest an orange or a lime, I normally just passed on that part because it was so hard to zest it. This is, you know, it began life as a woodworking tool. You want to be sure not to get your fingers involved, but it's actually, at culinary school, we would buy them at the hardware store and hold them with cloth. It was just a wood file. So I should just have to replace mine because my last one got worn out. I used it so much. So put in the zest, and then we're going to put in the orange. And you're not going to find orange in a lot of different bouillabaisse recipes. This was my chef's recipe. Chef Luc, he was my instructor at the cooking school I went to in Lyon, France. And, you know, Marseille is not a very cute town. It's quite a gritty port town. Like, it's a hard-working, you know, working-class town. And the bouillabaisse started really as a fisherman's stew. And it started as a stew that the fishermen would make kind of often collectively with the catch of the day. So whatever they had, they would put into the bouillabaisse, you know, and use the frames of the fish to make the stock, and, you know, they'd sort of make it collectively in all of that. So, you know, the selection of seafood that I'm using today is just an indication. It doesn't mean that that's exactly what you need to use. So I have fish broth here that I prepared earlier. Going in. Okay. Oh my gosh, those clafoutis look wonderful. All right, so then we're going to put in the strained tomatoes. I use the Pommy, the box of tomato, but you can use whatever brand you like. It really doesn't have to be Pommy.
Is it juice and all?
Hmm?
Is it juice and all?
Yeah, it's the strained tomato, the box of strained tomato.
Okay.
If you buy the whole tomato, the pieces take too long to break down, you know?
Right.
Okay, let's put the seasonings in. I'm going to put in about a teaspoon of chili flakes. I'm going to put in a bay leaf again. I'm going to crumble. And then I'm going to put in saffron. And saffron, this is a tin that actually Ellie gifted me for my birthday about 2 years ago. And it's just been such an incredible gift. Did you know that, guys, did you know that saffron is nature's Prozac? Did you know that? That
No.
Saffron is actually an incredibly healing spice, and it can help you with your mood. So I think I'll put a nice big thing in. No, I'm joking. I've been in a terrifically wonderful mood lately. I get to do what I love for a job and drink great wine. I mean, come on. You know, life is not bad right now. Okay, so there goes the nature's Prozac. All right.
Oh, gosh.
Beautiful. Okay, and that's going to start simmering along. All right, now potatoes. The potatoes are going to help to thicken the sauce naturally, the starch from the potatoes. I've been holding this in water because, you know, I didn't want it to turn brown before the presentation even began. But the starch from the potatoes, you know, helps to thicken the sauce.
I have a question, Carol.
Yeah.
On the oregano, if you don't have fresh oregano, how much of the dry do you use?
About half. That's a
Half
great
of it?
question, Diana. Yeah, that's a great question. If you're using a dried herb as opposed to a fresh herb, you want to use about half. And I say the H. It's not an herb to us. It's a herb. We say the H in South Africa. All right, so now I'm going to show you an optional extra. You can see this on my hands, right? Because I don't want to move this hot dish. So this is actually Anthony Bourdain's recipe for a roux. You know, a roux is a mayonnaise sauce, which is very often served on top of the bouillabaisse, or it's stirred in as you eat it to kind of thicken it. But to be honest with you, I don't like a classic roux because it's breadcrumbs that have been mashed up with egg yolk and then the oil put in to make this kind of a mayonnaise thing. And I just don't like it. So I found Anthony Bourdain's recipe. Thank you, Anthony, up there, which uses roast bell pepper instead of breadcrumbs, you know. And it just is, to me, it's just got so much more flavor in it. So I'm going to take this bell pepper that has been resting here, and I'm going to clean it off. And I find, whoops, too many things on the counter now. I find the best way to do it is with a wet paper towel. I take a wet paper towel and I just go like this and pull a lot of it off. You can rinse off the lot, you know, some of the last few pieces under running water, but I don't want to get it too kind of soggy, you know. So I'm going to need about half of it. I'm just going to tear off half. And make sure that I get rid of all the seeds and the black bits. I'm going to give it a quick rinse. Okay, so now I'm just going to cut it up a little bit. Just really like roughly cut it up to make it easier for the blender. Okay, this part we don't need right now. Okay, and here comes the saffron again. Dun-dun-dun. Make sure my hands are dry. This paprika is wonderful. Absolutely wonderful. So his recipe says a pinch of saffron. Here we go. Put it in. Now, this is not in my recipe, but it's an option you can do. I just happen to have some roasted garlic left from a recipe I did yesterday. I'm going to put some in. And some salt, of course. All right, what am I missing? That's it. Okay, and then I need a cup of olive oil. I definitely need to switch all my oils to Southern olive oils. Okay, so the egg that's in the bottom is room temperature, and that's very important. And I've used an organic egg. Now, I want to tell you something. If you guys are afraid of salmonella, the salmonella doesn't live inside the egg. It lives on the outside. So what you can do is you can blanch it in boiling water. So you have a dish of boiling water and a dish of cold water, and put the egg in the boiling water and immediately in the cold water, and it will work just great. Okay. So put the blender stick all the way in the bottom. And then I just start to move it around. There we go. That's the roux sauce done. Okay. Taste it for seasoning. That's really yummy. I'm just going to pop that in the fridge to rest while I do everything else. When you make these kind of fresh mayonnaises, you want to be sure to use them within like 2 days, because you know and I really prefer this so much over bought mayonnaise. And can you imagine making it with Southern Olive mayonnaise? It just tastes absolutely fantastic. It really would. Okay, so now here's the tricky part, is figuring out which of these seafoods are really going to take the shortest or the longest to cook. I've got shrimp, I've got fish, I've got clams, I've got mussels, I've got scallops, and the scallops are cut in half. So for me, I think the shellfish should go in first, because I think they're the ones that are going to be the toughest nuts to crack, because it's very cold. I've been keeping this in the fridge very cold, you know. And I want to tell you something. This seafood, it smells like the ocean. It doesn't, you know, when you walk in a fish store and it's like you just want to take a step back because it smells so fishy, like, awful, right? It smells amazing. It just smells so clean and fresh. So I've got it pretty hot here because this is going to take away a lot of the temperature as I put it in. So let's put in the mussels. When is it done? And the clams. Because their shells are very cold, you know. Ellie wishes you had smell-o-vision over here, guys. Is this looking just beautiful?
It's wonderful.
Oh my gosh, I'm back in the south of France right now. I really am. Oh, it's looking wonderful. So these are starting to open already. Okay. So I'm going to just give them like literally, let's see. We'll just give it a moment for the clams to do its thing. Okay. And this broth is looking great. Okay. So we had one here that didn't open. It was open. So I think I'm going to put in the pieces of fish next. And I have a selection here of snapper, and I'm not sure what the other one was. I need to ask Clint what it is that he gave me for the second one. The one was definitely snapper because I took the skin off myself.
The one you like so well.
The white one. Was it wreckfish? Maybe it was wreckfish. I'm not sure. But look at this. I mean, this is looking like a bouillabaisse. We are in the south of France, guys. We really are. This is a wonderful, entertaining dish. It really is. So you know what? You can make your soup base even the day before, all right, and cool it down. Then heat it up in your 5 minutes. Let's put in the shrimp. Fantastic. And we're going to put in these gorgeous scallops. At Harris Teeter, I found a gluten-free pre-baked baguette. Isn't that fantastic? And let me see. Oh, how beautiful. Everybody look at Anne's clafouti. Look at Anne's clafouti. Well done, Anne. This was a gluten-free baguette that I found at Harris Teeter. So I'm going to pop it in, and I'm going to put the timer on because I tend to forget things. I'm going to give it just about 7 or 8 minutes to do its thing, and I'm going to move the base over here. Okay. That I can cook the beautiful, beautiful goat cheese rounds for you, and we can wrap up this beautiful meal. Okay. So you want to get the pan pretty hot, and then you've got your little toasties of goat cheese that we're going to pop in. Oh man, alive! This is going to be a feast. Diana, I'm really looking forward to our in-person cooking classes again. Because because I like to feed people. You see, that's my thing, is feeding people. So in-person classes, I like to feed everybody. But we're going to do the best that we can right now. So
Anytime.
Anne Bale says Ongi. Wonderful, Anne. That's awesome. I love it. I love it. Okay, I'm going to grab the salad. So we caught Amber on a really busy day today, but collaborating with Amber and with Cindy in 2 weeks' time, and we're going to continue our theme of bringing fun and joy to everybody, but in a healthy way. And we're going to do a broadcast from the Southern Olive based on beautiful olive oils and showing you how to make some clever appetizers that are quick and easy. And I promise you, quick and easy. Okay. This is a really advanced level class, and I think you've done an amazing job. So, don't feel that all my recipes are like super complicated, because they're not, Okay, we have the Tigger Hill Farm. It's hydroponic lettuce, and I went and picked up the lettuce yesterday from the Tigger Hill Farm. But really what I'm showing you is the simplicity of a French salad, that it doesn't have to be a million different ingredients on the plate, Absolutely, absolutely divine. All right, it's time to do a little plating. And we'll put the plates up there now, because I've made a bit of a huge mess.
Here we go. Sorry.
There you go. That's your place plates. That's very often when you eat out in France, you get brought salad between courses. Like you'll have an appetizer, and you'll have like a fish course, and then you have a salad course, and then you might have a pasta course, and then you might have a meat course. So let's go and layer some of this beautiful red apple on top of in between my leaves here. Okay.
Carol, I have a question. Did you toss the vinaigrette? You tossed a little bit with the apples to preserve them, and then did you toss a little bit also with the greens?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
Just a little bit with the greens, just enough to coat.
Okay.
And then I would give each person about 2 or 3 of the croton, depending on the size that you made them, the ghost cheese rounds. So there we have it, guys. There's the first course is ready. Bon appetit. I'm going to bring the bouillabaisse back over. I forgot to chop some greens for the bouillabaisse. Doesn't matter. Okay. All right. Look at this. Just look at this. Oh my stars. This is incredible. This is absolutely incredible. With some roux in the middle here. Okay. And a little bit of something green on top, just for appeal. There we go. Okay, maybe a sprig or 2 more around the place. Okay, I'm not into chopped lettuce all the time. And we'll put this gluten-free baguette that I was so happy to find on the side. So Amber's place at the Southern Olive is gluten-free. If you're craving a gluten-free cupcake, that's the place to go. So there we have it, my lovely people. We have the salade de chèvre à pomme. We have the bouillabaisse with roux. We have the clafoutis with crème de fraîche. And I want to say to all of you, bon appétit and merci beaucoup.